Alright guys, as promised, we're going to be going over nullsec PI. We're going to be talking about in this video what I kind of go after and some of the decisions that I make in terms of actually making PI and turning it around for a very, very reliable income. Now we've already got a couple of planets, the command centers down here, but we're going to go ahead and place all 6 command centers. We're not going to set up every planet today in this video, but I'm going to give you an idea of like kind of the direction I usually go when I first get into nullsec and what I think is good profit in terms of what you can make with very minimal input. So the first planet we have here is Storm, and we have Baron, but let's go to the market real quick. I need to pull up. So I've said this in the past, fuel blocks are just by far one of the best things you can make because every structure is using them. They're being taken out of the economy or out of the game, out of the system at a regular basis. So there's always a need for them. So whenever I'm starting to do PI, and when I'm doing PI strictly for profit, what I'm doing is I'm looking at fuel blocks. I'm looking at what goes in, and I'm going to make that stuff. I'm not going to necessarily at the very beginning make the fuel blocks themselves, but I am going to do as much as I can here. And from my experience, robotics, mechanical parts, those are one of the really hot commodities. You can sell mechanical parts really, really easily, and same with robotics. Now, what's interesting about mechanical parts is it goes in as itself for the fuel block, but it also goes into robotics. So if we start off our PI and nullsec making mechanical parts, then we set ourselves up for a lot of success, because what I'll normally do is go robotics. And if I can just output a bunch of robotics every single week or every month or whatever, I can usually sell them very, very easily. So what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to actually set up, get the process started for setting up mechanical parts. And then we're eventually going to be making all of it, the oxygen, the enriched uranium, the coolant, the robotics, maybe if we commit more tunes to nullsec here. But it is possible to do robotics with just one character in a single account. So that's usually what we're going to do. I'm not going to bring out BPOs. I'm not until I start doing a lot of ice mining. I don't really see the need of going the full way all the way into fuel blocks, but we're going to go ahead and kind of set up the mechanical parts, as it were. Now this system has a couple of ice. It has 4 gas. It has a Storm, a Lava, and 2 Barren. So the Storm I've already looked at. The Storm is going to be one of the best sources for reactive metals. That's what we're going to go with that. And then the Barren planet this is the better one for precious metals. Both of these P1s are going to go into mechanical parts. We want the other Barren planet right here for we're going to be using this Barren planet as our manufacturing. So the reason we're picking Barren is because it has the smallest radius, so we know we can get the maximum 24 advanced factories on this thing. So we're going to go and place that command center down just so it's kind of called for. And what you'll notice there too is like this, pretty much every planet in this system, some of them have orbital skyhooks already. So this one, the Lava planet, already has an orbital skyhook, but these Barren planets actually don't have a customs office or an orbital skyhook. We can go ahead and set these up. You can just literally go right in here and go to view planetary industry, and you can go ahead and set up the entire process. It's just you're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait until we actually till they actually drop a skyhook here in order to export. But that's fine because we can hold off for a little bit, and we should be only a couple days from that. So we've already got the command center on the first planet. We're not going to set it up or upgrade it or anything. We're just going to have it in place and have it ready to go. The other thing we're going to do is we got to get on this Lava planet. It's pretty much the only source for non-CS crystals. There's no plasma in this system. So, and this one does have an orbital skyhook, so we can, potentially pull some stuff off of this. And what I do with, Lava is it doesn't matter where we put the command center. We can put it pretty much anywhere. So we're going to throw it down there. We're not going to set up non-CS today, but we're going to go and get these guys in place so we will be able to do all of our work without being in space, essentially. And then we're going to set up a gas, and we're going to set up an ice. So the ice planet is going to be for our toxic metals. You can see right here, this is 90%, and this one actually is 84%. So let's go ahead and this one doesn't have a This one also doesn't have a skyhook on it yet, so we're just kind of like, you know, waiting for that. We're going to be looking at the density here too. Like if you watch any of my other PI videos, you know, where our slider up here in the top left is usually down here in high sec, but like we're far to the right out here. Same thing. I just, you know, look for the white and then kind of search around and find a really good density spot. And that looks like a pretty good spot there. But like I said, we don't have to put our command center there, but we can put it somewhere relatively close. I'm going to go ahead and get that in place. And then the last one, we're going to do gas. So we have 5 planets. We only need 4 P1 for all of robotics. So we basically can do the mechanical parts. What I usually do is I do 4 planets for all the P1, and I'll do 1 planet to make consumer electronics and mechanical parts, and then I'll do another planet that'll just blast robotics. So that's how you kind of fill out the 6 there. But we're going to be basically using every type here. So just to like kind of make sure we have everything we need, this barren planet is going to be producing the precious metals for our mechanical parts. And then the lava planet here is going to be producing the non-CS or the structures. And then our storm planet is going to be producing the reactive metals. And then our ice planet will be doing our toxic metals. And then we have 1 planet left over just to kind of do whatever we want with. Now, I don't really recommend doing like a gas planet for a manufacturing planet, but we don't have a whole lot of options here. Chances are what I will do differently in this system, because of just how the planets are, this first planet up here is probably going to be making the robotics, the consumer electronics, and it will be making the mechanical parts. This is extremely easy. We can dump all of our P1 into one skyhook, and then it can just spit out the robotics and kind of cuts down on, you know, moving the P1 over and then the P2 over and all that stuff. So with all that being said, that means we can actually pick one of these gas planets and just do noble gas oxygen. The reason we want to do oxygen is because oxygen will go into the fuel blocks as well. So you can basically sell the mechanical parts that you have, the robotics and the oxygen, all together pretty much to the same person for under the assumption that they're going to be buying them for fuel blocks. So this last gas planet, we're looking at 56%. They're all roughly the same. This one's a little bit higher. It looks like 62. So since they're all pretty close, and these do have orbital skyhooks on them, we're going to go in here. We're actually going to look at density real quick. So noble gas, and we want to look at kind of how it looks here. They're all pretty much going to be the same. We just want to see what the density kind of looks like. I kind of like this area up here because we can technically kind of not have to move our operation too much and get several days, if not a couple weeks, out of this band up here. But just for the sake of due diligence, let's go ahead and look at the other ones and see what they kind of look like. Mechanical parts. We're leaving our slider kind of in the same. Ooh, that one's actually really nice. Oh yeah, look at that. We're almost there. We're gonna go here. And sometimes, you know, like I said, you don't, the command center doesn't have to be attached to your outfit, but like I usually put it somewhere close to the colony, the planned colony location, and it helps me kind of, you know, remember what I'm doing, especially if I'm going to set it up on a different day or whatever. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into setting up the P1 for the mechanical parts. Not going to be too crazy of a thing. We are going to first start with the second barren planet here. Just going to zoom out so we can see what we're doing. Go and set up for precious metals. Now, there's a couple of spots we can go here. We can go either on this side, but as you can see, is if we drill it down a little bit, we would have to move quite a bit to get to some other decent spots. I kind of like this spot over here because we can kind of put our colony right in the middle, and we could technically farm one side, and then when it kind of depletes, jump over to the other side by just moving our extractor. So I think we're going to go up over here, which is where I put the command center over here. So let's go and upgrade this guy all the way. Always want it to be max. All that good stuff. I know I'm sitting in space when I'm doing this. You can just dock up and do all this, but you know, we're in null, so it's pretty chill. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our extractor first and see what we can do here. We can put this extractor right here, and cover both of these areas. But we're only going to throw our heads on one side, probably this lower side over here, just so we can kind of favor one side and then switch as needed. Put our launch pad here. Now this launch pad is not going to do us any good until we have a skyhook up, but we can go ahead and get things started. Go to our schematics here. Select here, and we're going to go a day. I still usually go a day on all this stuff because I'm going to check it every day anyway. Every day I'm coming in and doing, product discovery. It's very easy just to kind of like, reset this stuff and kind of go for it. And so we're going to go and start by putting everything over on this area. We don't have to be too, too precise with it, because they'll probably be able to, with the density here, we'll be able to hang out on this for a while. Now in ISK, you have to, we're going to move them all over real quick, and then we'll zoom in and kind of, butt them up next to each other a little bit. Now in ISK, we're doing a lot of double extractor and stuff like that. And a lot of that is needed because of such a low density. Out here in Null-Sec, you can do pretty good with just running 10 heads. Makes it pretty easy. There we go. So we're going to be looking at, and that's what I like to see. I like to see average per hour. But the total, I usually go off the total here. As long as I'm over 1 million on my total 24-hour raw yield, that is good to go. That is what I like to see. So let's go ahead and route all of this right over here to the launch pad and get that set up. So that's running now. And now all we have to do is close this inventory box so we can kind of see what we're doing here. Now we're just going to add basics. We're going to butt these basics right up against everything. And we're going to try not to surround the extractor, because we want to leave the extractor with a single connection to the launch pad. That way, if we need to move it, it's easily movable. We're going to start off with 5, I think, just because it's simple. And we might actually adjust it down the road. This will be plenty enough here. And so what we're going to do is we need to go precious metals right here, tier 1. And go ahead and select all this stuff. All my windows are like all over the place, which is good to go. Get all this stuff set, and then all we have to do is just route the actual product out here. Now, if you're setting up for scale, then you're probably going to like, try mass set up all this stuff as soon as possible. But the thing is like, we're probably going to end up, and the way we're going to configure this, we're going to end up with more mechanical parts after we even make our robotics, which is intentional. We want to make more robotics than we need. That way, all right, that's set up. That way we have the option to sell people on, we want to be able to actually have more mechanical parts than we need for the robotics. Because people who are making fuel blocks are going to also need just raw mechanical parts as well. All right, the next one we got to be setting up is the storm planet here. And this planet is the last one we're going to do for this video. But this one is going to be our reactive metals. So we're going to go ahead and look at our scan. Kind of see what the planet's looking like. Yeah, this one spot right here is looking pretty good. We can hit this home up here and just kind of like rotate it back around to where our command center is. But go and get that upgraded. There we go. Zoom back out, look at our spot. This is going to be our spot right here. Nice and dark. We don't have to worry about, like, that's one thing I hate about doing like things on like gas planets and stuff. It's like the UI kind of like gets lost in the crazy because everything is so bright. So same thing. And the reason also we only go 5 factories on the barren planet is because we don't have a skyhook there. So we don't want to go in over the next week or so and just completely fill that thing up. We want it to be working. We want it to slowly be doing its thing. Once that skyhook gets in, then we could probably actually go to 7 or 8 factories. But what we were doing in ISK, if you watch the ISK PI, we were setting up single extractor, 10 heads, and 5 basics. I'm doing that on these so you can start to see the difference. So you can watch that video in high sec, and then you can look at the same setup in null sec, and you can get a good idea of the differences there. All right, set this one up for one day as well. The most time consuming thing about setting this stuff up is probably moving the heads. You can set the extractor right here in the spot, but I usually like, having it off of the white area so it's not too slow to kind of move stuff around. And this is a kind of a band, a little bit of a band here, so it's not really like a nice circle. We can kind of spread this stuff out a little bit. We want as much of the head in the white as possible. 1.3 million on that one. We've got no overlap, which is good. And then we just need to route it to the command center and hit OK, and we're good to go. Same thing, we're going to do basics. We're going to do the 5 basics on here, and that's just so that if you guys are watching this, and you can go to those high sec videos where we did 5 as well, and you can kind of cross compare. And like I said, we're trying not to do any other than the one link that goes from the extractor to the launch pad. We don't want anything else going to the connecting to the extractor. That way, if we need to move this extractor, so we need to move it up here a little bit or over here, we can just delete it and then move it around without killing essentially links that we have already set up that are passing through the launch pad there. All right, so we're going to be selecting reactive metals here, and then just real quick, install these schematics all over and everything. So like I said, this is not technically going to be like a series necessarily. This is like, as you probably noticed, this is not like an episode 1 or any of that. We're going to be covering topics in nullsec in a bunch of different areas. And obviously, if you watch this and then when you see other stuff with PI, then you'll have a better idea what's going on. But, it's pretty much going to be like, each video is going to be all inclusive of itself. Mechanical parts is just really, really good. If all you can do is just mechanical parts, if you went to nullsec and all you were able to do is mechanical parts, and you had a couple of extra plans to do things like oxygen or whatever, then you're going to be doing really well. With this current setup right now, we could technically, for a little bit, we could do consumer electronics, mechanical parts, get some oxygen, build all that stuff up quite a bit, and then somewhere down the road, we could actually convert some advanced factories into robotics and build, blast through some of that stuff as well. So for me and kind of the situation I am, I'm going to be doing a lot of covert stuff out here in nullsec. So we're going to be sticking to this one character, these 6 planets. We're going to see how much we can pull. All the products that's going to come out of this stuff on this character, we're going to save over the course of, several weeks or whatever. And so you can see like the total value that's being produced, so you can get a better idea if it's something that you want to invest your time in and all of that. So all that is set up. That will essentially give us the P1 for mechanical parts. We do not need to set up the first Baron planet in this system is going to be nothing but a launch pad and a bunch of advanced. And it's going to be in charge of, first, it's going to be in charge of having 24 advanced factories doing nothing but mechanical parts. Once we get structures and toxic metals going, then when we have built up a good amount of those, we're going to half those. So we're going to do 22 mechanical parts, 22 consumer electronics. And then when we get ready to do robotics, we're going to like cut it in thirds. So we'll have, some of them do mechanical parts, some of them do consumer electronics, and then some of them do robotics. And then down here on this gas, we'll be just doing oxygen, right? Oxygen will just always be kind of, being spit out. That way, if we needed to, we could, facilitate a lot of the P1 going into fuel blocks. And that's kind of the plan. Hopefully you found this video entertaining or educational. We are slowly this week is going to be really focused on nullsec and stuff, and I know the PI was one of those things that was really, really requested, so that was like my #1 priority to get out and everything. So thank you for watching. Check out the Patreon, we got exclusive content over there. Check out the Twitch channel, we got live streams going on over there. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.